Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is Dear Profiler Pat, where you send me your questions, ask me for advice, and I give advice. You can take it, you can not take it, or you can take some of it. And if you're watching the channel, you never know when whatever advice I give will help you in some way. And I always hope it does. If you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe and check my playlist and see which one of them has different subject matter that you might be interested in getting some advice on. All right. This is a well, I can relate to this question totally. Dear Profiler Pat, I'm of a certain age. Many of us are. And I'm terrified of Alzheimer's. What can I do? It seems like a simple question, but the question is, what can you do? What can you do to not get Alzheimer's? What can you do to not be scared of Alzheimer's, to move on with your life and not panic all the time? Oh my God, I can't remember where I put my keys. I must have Alzheimer's. And it is a very difficult thing. I'm not going to talk here about early onset Alzheimer's, which is just a freaky thing. And it's horrifying when a person who's quite younger than myself, and probably the letter writer, that they get Alzheimer's when they're just in their 40s, 50s, whatever. I mean, just so young. If you want to see a great movie on that, watch Still Alice. I do know it's at Prime Video. I absolutely love that movie. I think I've seen it like 3 or 4 times because it's really, it makes me very emotional because you have a woman who is she's a linguistics professor at a top university, and she's got a good life, and she suddenly is having problems finding her way home, remembering things. And she's obviously a brilliant person, with a PhD. And suddenly there she is losing cognitive ability. And it's well, hey, if you're terrified of Alzheimer's, don't watch that movie. Do not watch that movie. But anyway, but if you would like to if you're not getting early onset Alzheimer's, if you're just of a certain age, and as you're getting older, you're seeing maybe people My mother did get Alzheimer's in her 90s. My father had some dementia. So this also applies to dementia in general. I have run into people at the senior center, which I do go to for my art classes and Spanish classes and chorale. I have a good time there. And yes, I've run into that there. I had a Spanish instructor, for that matter, who I asked a grammar question of, and she lost her mind. She started shrieking at me and getting very angry that how dare you ask this question? And I'm like, what? And then I realized she had early stage Alzheimer's. And I went to the people that ran the place. I said, look, she's really nice most of the time, but clearly there's something wrong. And eventually she did not return because she did indeed have Alzheimer's. And she was, I don't know, she was like early 70s. So I'm thinking young, and it was sad because she obviously was a very nice person. And also, just she loved to teach, and she knew more than one language. And yet she was having a terrible time trying to understand how to even answer my question, which is why she became so agitated. And I've worked as a sign language interpreter. When I was a medical sign language interpreter, I've worked with people with Alzheimer's. And I did another show on how you deal with somebody who has Alzheimer's, as far as how do you talk to them and all that. But what happens when you're afraid of getting Alzheimer's, right? You're afraid of it. And you're like, oh my God, how do I prevent it? Well, the prevention thing, the first thing I want to tell you is stop going on the internet and clicking on everything that says, how to not get Alzheimer's. I'm going to read you some of them right here. Okay, I got to put this up. I can't. This is actually distance classes. All right, so what should you do? All right, engage in regular physical activity. Oh, dang it. I should do more. Maintain a healthy diet. Oh, fruits and vegetables. How nice. Yes, what a great idea. Get enough sleep. Aim for 7 to 9 hours a night. Oh, I'm screwed there. All right. Manage stress. Yeah, we'll try to get that crap out of our lives. Avoid smoking. I'm good there, but some people like to smoke, and there's a lot of people who never get Alzheimer's who smoke like a chimney till they're 100. So, limit alcohol consumption. Okay, I don't drink that much. A wine here, a tequila there. Okay, but how much? What is limiting it? What is it going to make a difference? It says excessive alcohol intake can increase the risk of Alzheimer's. Are we talking about Drinking to the point where you have a brown paper bag and we're sitting on the sidewalk? I mean, what are we talking about? Let's see, we got to control blood pressure, manage cholesterol levels, treat diabetes, avoid head injuries. Yeah, I do try to not knock my head into a wall or something. Cognitive stimulation, we hear this all the time. Challenge your brain. My mother did Sudoku. She got Alzheimer's. I am a Scrabble player, so I play Scrabble every night online because I play at a fairly high level, and I enjoy playing at least 2 to 3 games a night. Is that going to stop me from getting Alzheimer's? What about all the research I do for these shows? Will that stop me from getting Alzheimer's? Yeah, maybe. Learn new things. Okay, I'm learning Spanish now. I'm learning. I'm playing the Bansuri flute. I just started learning to sing. I mean, I'm starting new art stuff. Is that going to save me? Stay socially connected. Okay, I work from home. I try to get out. I'm not married. I don't have somebody in here with me, so will that do me in? And let's say I should watch my medications, have genetic testing. I'm going to read you one more just because it's funny. Eat a healthy brain diet. Okay, that's it. We got to have blue and red fruit. Herbs. Oh, yes, we just put that rosemary and turmeric in your diet, and that'll help you out. Let's see. Omega-3 fatty acids. Oh, dark chocolate. We all like that. Let's do dark chocolate. That'll keep us from getting Alzheimer's. Olive oil, tea, and coffee. Reduce sugar and starch intake. So dark chocolate has less sugar. So there you go. Avoid unhealthy fats. And more exercising. And check which drugs you take. Be social. Relax. Oh, yeah, relaxing. My mother was pretty relaxed, so she still got Alzheimer's. Don't hit your head. They keep me on about the don't hit your head. I think hitting your head is probably not a good idea no matter what. So I will say this. Now, if you're unsteady on your feet, for God's sakes, do use a walker or a cane. We already know you're old. Using that won't make you look much older. Get enough sleep. I wish they'd stop saying that. And take brain supplements. That'll sell supplements to people. Sure, lots of them. Improve your gut. Don't have bacteria in your gut. More challenging your brain. Practice positive psychology. That's been proven. I mean, I want to be happy, therefore I won't get Alzheimer's. Okay, just nonsense. Every day you can go on and they will tell you a bunch of ways. Now I want to see a bunch of ways that you can somehow delay or prevent Alzheimer's from ever happening to you. And there's zero proof that any of this crap works. Zero. And now they got a new one. I think you can get the shingles vaccine. They just blew this in. Oh, shingles. Get your shingles vaccine. Not only will prevent shingles, but it will prevent Alzheimer's. And they suppose they have this new study that's really impressive, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying don't get the shingles vaccine. I'm simply saying that every other freaking week, they will come up with something. If you try to follow all of this garbage, you lose your damn mind. Oh, yeah. Exactly. What should you really do? In my opinion, for God's sakes, just live your life. Live the best life you can. You're not going to know if you're going to get Alzheimer's. You're not going to know if you're going to be the unlucky schmuck. You're just not going to know. Do you remember there was once a fickle finger of fate. I think it was Rowan and Martin laughing. It was like the guys walking along, do. Yeah. Sometimes it's the fickle finger of fate. You just don't know. Why? You have no clue. My mother and father lived in the same house. They were married all those years. Why did my mother get Alzheimer's? My father did get some dementia, but mostly my mother got the Alzheimer's. And why her and not him? They were eating the same food. They had the same social connection. They both exercised pretty much the same. I could see no difference between their lifestyles. So you could drive yourself insane with this nonsense. Every day I go on Google News and I'm inundated because they've already got me, the algorithms already found me. So like 50% of the crap is how to prevent Alzheimer's. I should never have looked one time. But you can't fix all of these things. Should you live a healthiest life you can? Well, obviously, we all know this. Should we eat better? Should we drink less, smoke less? Should we get together with people? Should we be happy? We all know this already. And we would do all of these things, if we could. Sometimes they tell you to do this crap and you can't do those things. You simply can't. your money doesn't allow it. Maybe there's just no way you have that kind of social connections. Some of these things aren't going to happen in your life. That's called life. Whatever the best way you can live, that's what matters. And maybe the best way you can live will prevent Alzheimer's, but they're not going to do proper studies on it, so we don't know. And by the way, a lot of times they'll say things like, maybe it's because we're living longer. Well, maybe it is because we're living longer, and therefore at a certain point our brains just kind of fizzle off. Maybe it's true. And then there's people that say, oh, well, in certain countries, in these wherever place it is, these people don't have Alzheimer's. Let's think about this. I don't know if that's true either. A lot of these studies are garbage. They're whatever the agenda is for that study, they come up with the answer that they want. But let's take a look at one of the issues with Alzheimer's. In some countries, if you're living in a small village and you have a grandparent there, okay, grandpa, grandma, and as time goes on, grandpa's no longer working in the fields. He's hanging around the house more. Grandma's helping him cooking and whatever she's doing. They may get forgetful. They may get confused. But they live in this small place, so they don't get that confused because it's not that big an area to get around. It's not like they're not getting in cars and trying to drive someplace. They're just walking outside the house, wandering around the village. And if they wander a little the wrong way, somebody just brings them back. It's not that as big a deal. They only have so many people to deal with. And eventually, if they start forgetting who they're sitting in the house with, the family, the area is sort of used to people getting older and getting a little bit forgetful. Well, that's just grandpa. He doesn't remember those things anymore. They don't classify it necessarily as anything. And because it's a smaller world, a simpler world, it's easier for a grandpa to sit there and have a lovely dinner and look at and enjoy the birds. It's not a big deal. When you're trying to live on your own, run a household, pay freaking taxes, trying to get places, Alzheimer's is a lot, and any kind of dementia is a lot more difficult to deal with for yourself and for the people around you. That's like, what are we going to do? They're going to burn the house down because they're in there alone using the stove. Whereas in a small village, probably they're not using the stove. Or if there are, there's other people right there in the kitchen with them. So some of these things aren't an issue under certain conditions. I mean, it's not that you wouldn't end up with the same brain situation, but it's just not going to impact your life and their lives as much as it does when you're trying to live in a society where it's so complicated. So that's why I think we're super fearful of that, because we know, my God, what happens if I suddenly can't do all the things I need to do? What kind of life will I live? Where will they put me? Because I've been in those small villages, and I've seen some of those elders, and sometimes they're just sitting there happily playing with a goat, not just patting a goat. Don't go there. just enjoy, just sitting there with a nice goat, and that makes them happy. I've often said, if I get to the point where my brain is not functioning well, I want to be in a place where I can sit with iguanas. I love iguanas. I want the lizards to walk around. I want tropical birds. I want lizards. And I want some spicy food. That's what I want. And maybe that would make me happy. But what I don't want to be done is to be picked up and shoved into some home where strangers take care of me, and I don't like the food, and I don't like the circumstance I'm living in, and I'm just unhappy because I've essentially been put into a little jail. Now, some people do well. I'm not saying these care homes are bad. Some care homes are very good, depending on whether they match the person and the personnel that they have. I mean, it can be a place of comfort to people too. So it's possible I could be put into a place where, if I'm not really functioning well, where I feel it's cozy, I feel safe, I don't have to make too many decisions, and my food is given to me all the time. I can get ice cream in the afternoon, and they might have some pretty birds for me to look at, and little art projects to do. Maybe it won't be as bad as all that. Maybe they got kind people there. So a lot depends on what circumstance we end up in when we're at a point where we're not functioning very well mentally. Now, all of us fear the fact that we can't think straight. I mean, that's creepy for most of us, and we don't want to get there. We would like to end our lives. We would like to live to 100, 110. And we don't want to have too many physical problems, and we want our brains to be sharp so that one day we just go to sleep and that's that, and we have had a wonderful life. Yeah, okay, I want that too. I do. But I can't predict my physical health or my mental health for the rest of the next decades. All I can do is live life as well as I can now, enjoy my life, try to be as healthy as I can. If I feel like, yes, maybe it would be nice if I got together with more people, I traveled more, I had a, some people having a dog or a cat makes them happy, things that would make them happy. Make your life good now. And I always feel like if the better your life is, well, that's what's important. Stop counting the amount of years you're of perfection or amount of years that you're going to be in a certain condition, because you're never going to know that. But you do know what you can do today to have the best life you can. And stop reading all the crap on the internet, because just depress you. You can't really, there's really no trick. There's no anything fancy. I mean, some people like to do all the vitamins and things and think that makes a difference. Some people say, well, if I eat this or eat that, I'm going to save myself. And if you want to believe that makes you happy, bully for you. Go ahead and do it. Take your shingles vaccine if you think that's going to stave it off. Do whatever yeah. But we really honestly don't have a good answer. I wish we did. I wish we knew what caused dementia, what caused Alzheimer's, what caused our brains to not function as well as they should. But do we have to plan ahead a little bit so that we have this, like, the best possible option if we reach a point in life like that? Yes, we do. I mean, that's a good planning idea. It's also, I think, a very wise idea to be willing to admit if you're starting to have physical or mental problems. Just be willing to admit it, because be safe, make it comfortable. In other words, if you're getting confused on the road, do not be driving. Stop doing that. If you're unsafe in the kitchen because you're having trouble remembering where you left burners on and stuff, just don't use a microwave. Or unless you put things in the microwave, you shouldn't, and it blows up. But be willing to allow somebody else to take over certain things if you're having issues with it, and accept that. I mean, just live again the best life you can. If the best life you can is not doing those things but doing other things, do those things. I mean, there's no sense in doing the things that are unhealthy for you. I've always regretted that my father, when he had trouble driving, when he tried to get those keys away. I don't know if at the time there was Uber, but Uber's great. And so if you're having trouble driving, for God's sakes, just call Uber. And then you can have it's a limo ride. Rich people used to be the only people who could get something like that. Now everybody can. And for a reasonable price, you don't have to maintain your car. You don't have to pay for insurance. You just jump in Uber. They take you straight to the door. Therefore, you're not going to get confused where the door is either. You're going to go right in. And therefore, if you have issues, just accept those issues and find a way to fix them. Ask other people, what's a good way to manage this, so that I can now, instead of driving because I get confused, I can go any place I'd like to with Uber. I mean, if you need help, you need help. And always remember that executives who run businesses, they can't do everything in their businesses. They're smart enough to delegate all the stuff that they can't do to somebody else. So just be an executive. Say, okay, this is my life. This is me. This is what I can do, and these are the things I am not so good at. So physically, I'm going to get help with this. Mentally, I'm going to get help with this. Those will be the best way you can deal with it. And at some point, yes, might you have to actually have somebody, if you're 90 some years old and you really can't function that well, you're going to have somebody essentially be a power of attorney and make some decisions for you. Pick the best person you can. But meanwhile, if you're a person of a certain age, live your life as best you can. This is what you got today. You could be 30 years old and get hit by that bus. And here you are at a certain age and you didn't get hit by the bus yet. So if you keep thinking, about tomorrow and the tomorrow after, you don't know if you got those anyway. So just live this day well and set up things as best you can to be comfortable. I strongly believe in downsizing, focusing on specific things that help you not be overwhelmed with stuff. especially if you're having more troubles. Just don't have so much stuff. Pick certain things you want to do, clear out the rest of the stuff. And so again, like the people in the village, if you only have a couple outfits to wear, you're going to pick this one or that one. But if you have a massive mess in your closet, you get up and you start freaking out because it's overwhelming. If you only have one pan, that's what you're going to be cooking in. If you've got like one of these massive kitchens with like 20 different pots, then you start getting confused. Which one should I use? One pan might be useful. Get rid of the rest of them. So sometimes simplifying everything so that you don't have so many choices to make. So that life, when you get up in the morning, life is simple. You know what you're going to be able to do, and therefore you can do it. If you have trouble with the stove or concerns about that, you can make a lot of food that doesn't require a stove. Yeah, a toaster maybe with, make some nice toast and put some jelly on it. You can put some cheese on it. I mean, it's all kinds of simple things you can do. You can, of course, have a bowl of cereal, bowl of granola, whatever. You can make a lot of non-cooked food. You can also order food that can be brought in to you. I mean, there's just so many options. And if you're still cognitive enough to be able to choose those options, and they make your life more comfortable and more workable, do that. And then sometimes if you already do that, if you're downsizing, making things simpler, if you do start having some issues, you're going to find life a lot easier to navigate than if your life is overwhelming mess. But can you fix it? Can you prevent it? I don't see any proof of anything that proves that you can stop not getting Alzheimer's. This is what will prevent it. I don't waste your time with that. Live as healthy as you can. Live as well as you can. And maybe you'll just be 100 years old and go, well, I'll be damned, I didn't get Alzheimer's. And I hope that's true for you. And I hope it's true for me. So anyway, those are my thoughts on it. Put your comments below, and no suggestions on how you can prevent Alzheimer's, because believe me, they're all over the net. And if you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.